It's a ridiculous day in the world of Magic the Gathering, as Wizards of the Coast has just introduced a new type of booster that gives you 2 mythics per pack. On top of that, Magic players are raging out about a new charity secret lair. And if that wasn't enough, there are rumblings about an upcoming Adam Sandler Magic the Gathering movie.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another glorious installment of Mega Magic News. We have a brand new crazy bundle to talk about. We have the double mythic booster action, Adam Sandler movie action, and the secret lair charity fiasco freakout that led to the MTG Reddit just going, all right, we're locking it down. Shut it down, people. So let's start with that because it is the most absurd thing we're going to talk about today. Now, the good news is we actually have all the cards to look at from the secret lair. So that's where we're going to start out. And then we'll talk about the freakout afterwards. So let's start with the first card. Up on the screen, you are going to see Lathlis the Dragon Queen in 2 different variations. Now, if you're somebody who's been around for a while, you will recognize exactly what's going on here. But if you're newer to Magic and you haven't seen this kind of secret lair yet, this is the second iteration of this style secret lair. One of the pieces of artwork is done by a child who is actually being given medical treatment. And so this child comes up with the concept for the art and the flavor text as well. And then they take an actual Magic artist and have them paint an approximation of the artwork. And it leads to some hilariously ridiculous and honestly delightful creatures. Lathlis looks hilarious. First of all, 2 red and 4 for a 6/6 flying dragon. So this is supposed to be a big, gigantic, regal dragon who is a queen, right? Lording over other dragons. So on top of flying, Lathlis has the ability, whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Basically, Lathlis makes every dragon, yo, you're gonna go make more dragons right now and make it happen. So the idea of that combined with this fire breathing ability where it's like dragons you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. And then, okay, we're gonna get this huge army of dragons. I will command them all to breathe fire and flow power through them. But then you look at the artwork and it's just this goofy little, like, I don't know, Pixar or Disney-esque kind of dragon perched up there at the top of the pinnacle with a big weird looking flop. Is that a beaver's tail or its other wing? I can't tell. Like, the one wing is up, the one wing is down. It's got its tail swinging off to the side. The flavor text says, if you saw her, you'd go, aww. That's funny, unless it's actually supposed to be, if you saw her, you'd go, ah! I don't know. You know what? Maybe that's what it's supposed to be, because there isn't a W in there, but I guess my brain just goes, it's cutesy. But anyways, this is a really fun concept overall. Let's take a look at the next card, which is Birds of Paradise. Now, this one is mega goofy, right? Look at this thing. Birds of Paradise is an iconic card from Magic the Gathering. Everybody knows you never let your opponent keep their first turn Birds of Paradise. You bolt it or you plow it. You get rid of it because the acceleration that it offers, it's 1 mana for a 0/1 flyer. So obviously its stats aren't impressive, but it taps to add a mana of any color. So it is undeniably powerful acceleration. And the funniest part to me, though, is the concept behind the artwork. This has become my absolute favorite version of Birds of Paradise now because of how out there it is when you really start to break down the concept. Obviously, it was drawn by a kid, but I'm the Magic historian. So regardless of who's concepted the card, I'm going to pull it apart and talk about what it's all about. So this is a 0/1 flyer, is it? Look at the artwork. It's so big and fat and beefy. How is this thing just a 0-1? It could crush you with its torso. I mean, sure, it's got a spindly little neck and whatever, but look at its beak, man. I swear the beak on that thing looks like it's as big as a person. Like it could just crush you. Is this supposed to be a pacifist bird? And the size of it continues to baffle me when you turn to the flavor text. The flavor text says its diet consists of the rare every berry, which tastes different every time. It loves the surprise. Now that is some fun flavor text from the concept of these super rare berries that you never know what they're going to be, and somehow they're every taste and it'll just randomize for you. Cool concept. But if they're super rare, how does the bird of paradise get to be so big? How big are these berries, right? Are these massive, sprawling berries? Either way, I love this. I love how it fired my imagination up. Now, prepare yourself, sliver lovers, for the Sliver Legion. Some of you are going to be saying, what have they done to my boy? This is actually one of the things that has people riled up about the secret layer, although it is one of the more minor aspects. So, Sliver Legion. That's right. That's a sliver, friends. One of every color. One green, one red, one black, one blue, one white gets you a 7/7. All sliver creatures get +1/+1 for each other sliver on the battlefield, right? This is a crazy concept that boosts all of your slivers into crazy territory because it works like a coat of arms. But here it's been concepted as a mutant frog chihuahua with one spike arm and a weird pale smooth belly and strange little legs, and he's got like a button for an eye or something. Like, this is madness. When you look at it, you go, what am I even looking at? And the flavor text says, an alien from another world. At first glance, it looks funny, maybe scary, and also maybe ugly, but mostly funny. And it's just like, all right, it's so random. And look at what's behind it. This is what slivers are, guys. This is canon now in Magic, just so you know. This isn't Universes Beyond, is it? You don't see a Universes Beyond sticker on this. So this is officially what all of your slivers look like. And if you take yourself seriously as a sliver player, I want you to know that the next time we sit down to play Magic, I'm going to be picturing all of your slivers like this. And I'm going to be laughing at their cute little button eyes. I will never take your slivers seriously again. Your wrath has been quelled. Anyways, speaking of wrath, let's talk about the absurdity that is surrounding this charity secret layer. Obviously, when you look at it on the surface, you go, so what's the problem? It's literally just you had kids draw cards and artists render them. What could be the issue? Well, I mean, when it comes to these sort of things, first of all, one of the things that people trot out is the issue with the fact that Wizards is making profit at all off of anything that's aligned with the charity. So there are some people who believe, first of all, that if it's going to be for charity, it should be 100%, not like we're going to give part of the profits or whatever. They think Wizards should essentially eat the cost of creating the product and then, send it out, do all that, get the money, and give it all to the charity and not take pennies for themselves. Now, I mean, I can see both positions on this, right? On one hand, you can go, yeah, it would be nicer if they gave them all the money, but, they don't want to spend the money, and they're a greedy corporation that at the end of the day is only doing this for a tax break or whatever it is. So there's people who are upset that Wizards isn't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But then on the other hand, you have the fact that none of the money would be going towards charity otherwise. This is like a way of luring Magic players into spending money on something that does ultimately like give money to charity. So depending on how you view it, that one I can see one way or the other. Where it gets a lot crazier and trickier is people are getting riled up about the choices of charities that Wizards is making, specifically with this one when it comes to, now, I haven't looked deeply into it, so I'm just going to say from a surface level understanding, this is a charity that helps children, and I can't understand why people who help, like, this is where my mind stops and goes, I don't understand. Why are people against charities that help kids? And so there's all this arguing going on the MTG Reddit for a whole bunch of different reasons, but the biggest one, the one that's causing the most discord, is people arguing over whether this charity is acceptable and all this sort of thing, to the point where they literally shut the conversation down. And they said something pretty much, I think, along the lines that I was saying, where it's like, we can't say enough about the charity to know one way or the other in terms of this. So we're just going to shut down the discussion because you guys aren't capable of being civil about it. And that, I mean, fair enough. When people are tearing each other apart over this stuff, at a certain level, you just go, everybody's just here to be angry. Nothing's being accomplished down in the angry yell hole, because that's what it turns into. And it's just wild to see this scenario. And there's a part of me that imagines that just even bringing this up will have some people spiraling, even my mouth is spiraling out of control, right? So it's an interesting world we're living in, and it's absolutely bizarre to me to see people this worked up about a charity that's trying to help kids. Like, ultimately, the entire arc of this is that Wizards of the Coast has made a secret lair where they don't make any profit to help a children's charity, and a bunch of people are raging. So take that for what you will. I know it better than most. The Magic community has a lot of anger in it about a lot of things, and you will find it exploding in a lot of ways. And part of it is because the community overall is just frustrated by what Wizards is doing. The 30th anniversary anger is boiling over in a lot of ways, and I think that's actually what contributes to this as well. I think people are worked up underneath, and they feel like they're being taken advantage of, and they don't know how to express that, so they're just angry in general. So things that are associated with that automatically have the anger spill over onto it, because I genuinely do want to believe that's what's going on, as opposed to that many people acting this awful when it comes to like kids and charity. But you know what? That aside, let's move on to something that is decidedly more interesting and doesn't have that distasteful stuff going on with the people getting worked up. And that is the complete edition bundle. I'm going to put it up on the screen and tell you the details about this. And while I do so, look at this glorious box, right? Phyrexia, all will be one. This is the complete edition bundle. Now, this contains some differences from your regular bundle, okay? So inside of it, you are going to get 12 set boosters instead of 8 set boosters. And remember how set boosters have 20 foil lands and 20 regular lands in them? Well, they're switching it up now to 40 foil lands specifically for this box set. But it gets juicier from here. One, they're removing the spin down die. It's not listed anywhere at all on the Amazon posting. And since I'm speaking about Amazon, guys, I have an Amazon affiliate link. And if you use that when you're making your Amazon purchases, it can actually help my channel out. So I will leave that linked down in the description with a link specifically to this. So if you want to buy it or anything else on Amazon using my link, that hooks me up too. Now, inside this bundle is something called a complete edition booster. And every complete edition booster comes with 2 special foil mythics in it. Now, it's unclear whether those foil mythics are drawn from a pool based on the entire set, or it's the same 2 in each booster. But knowing Wizards of the Coast, I imagine they're going to be randomized, so we'll be chasing them. So on top of that, there will be 10 special foil lands, and all of the foils that are inside this complete booster will have a special treatment. Now, if you didn't already see it, I did a video about a leak on Phyrexia, all will be one, and it showed off a special foiling treatment. So that's what that's going to be. Essentially, this is confirmation that the leak is real. Now, in terms of more information about Phyrexia All is One, the cards that'll be in the set and stuff like that, we're not going to get more about it until December. But it's interesting to note that Wizards of the Coast is already listing it up for sale. You can pre-order this right now if you choose to do so, because we're just moving into Brothers War right now. In fact, if you didn't know, guys, the Brothers War storyline has started, and I've put out the first 2 episodes on Fantasy Geographic. I will tell you the story in a way that excites you, all right? So you can check out the original Brothers War and the brand new one that's just started. The first 2 installments are out. I'll be putting the 3rd installment out later today, and then tonight I'll be doing a live stream over on my other channel, Hatcher. That all out of the way, let's talk about the Adam Sandler Magic movie rumor situation. So take this one with a grain of salt, because people are like going far with their wishes. What we know is going on for sure is there's an Adam Sandler movie being made for Netflix about high-end cards. So think about how Adam Sandler had that movie Uncut Gems, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard amazing things about, and it's on my to watch list. But I don't know, guys. I don't know if you guys have noticed. There's so much Magic news and so much going on. I don't have any free time. I can't sit down and watch movies. I don't have any time for it. But anyhow, so Adam Sandler's in the movie Uncut Gems. Now they're doing one about high-end cards. So the high-end card market. The question becomes, is it Magic the Gathering? Because Magic the Gathering is pretty premium and up there. Is it something like maybe Pokemon? Or are we talking like sports cards? I feel like most likely after the Uncut Gems and trying to maybe recapture that magic, because that's what happens, right? You had, what was it? Was it Mel Gibson who did Braveheart, and then he did like The Patriot, trying to do like another Braveheart? It's that kind of a deal to me. So I think they're trying to go for another Uncut Gems, not exactly the same, but kind of vibe. And so sports cards feels like the high-end sports card market, plus the fact that like sports has a wider reach than Magic. I'm leaning towards that being the case, but it's entirely possible that this could actually be a movie involving Magic the Gathering and Adam Sandler, which is something I never thought I'd say. But anyways, that wraps up all the news that's fit to talk about this Friday, my friends. Thanks for coming by. Big shout out to all my patrons. I will leave links for you to the Brothers War lore. Go check it out. It's pretty wild. The story's starting to heat up right now. The third installment is getting nuts. I'm actually making the notes and recording it later today, so it's going to be great. Anyhow, thanks for coming by.